hear a lot of talk of revolution. I say revolutions are for mugs. Mugs playing into the hands of more of the same. There's never been a revolution by people like us, real people. Not that made lives better for the likes of us, not once. Any revolution, so-called, any revolution that you've ever heard of has been a bait and switch, advertising one thing to the desperate and then selling them something else entirely. The French Revolution was one group of powerful types seizing control from other powerful types, and to hell with the poor, the huddled masses. The rich stayed rich and the poor were sold a dummy. Some heads were parted from some shoulders for the sake of revenge and sadism, but nothing changed for the better, not for real people like you and me. The Russian Revolution was more of the same. The royal family, the Romanovs, were murdered by freshly minted communists, while everyone else, the hapless millions, were told they owned nothing and would be happy. Millions of real people were murdered as well, just for good measure, and nobody got a steak dinner except the members of the Politburo. It was ever thus. The revolutions are for dupes. If you think a revolution now will make things better for the poor and the downtrodden, there's a bridge across the Thames I can sell you for cash. The mob is always, always the tool of the rich and powerful. The mob breaks windows on demand, sets cars on fire, hurts or kills some passers-by maybe, and then the rich and powerful have the excuses they need to send in their troops and enforce new emergency legislation to end the violence and make everyone safe. The leash is shortened, the wheel turns, and all the real people have a little bit less than before. As Benjamin Franklin said, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Revolutions do no more than let the next lot of rich and powerful people get richer and more powerful at the expense of the same old poor and powerless. Those left with the broken windows and burned out cars and businesses and holding out their hands in hope of help from those that saw to the setting of the fires in the first place. Don't think I'm only taking a pop at communists either. Fascists are the same as communists. All the ists and isms are exactly the same. You couldn't get a cigarette paper between the outcomes of fascism and communism. Communist revolutions and fascist revolutions end up in the same place, with the poor and powerless looking up at mountains of corpses. All revolutions are for mugs. What we need is not a revolution. No more revolution forever. In fact, what we need is not a revolution, but a reformation. And before anyone starts shouting, I'm not talking about religion, about anyone's religion. I'm talking about a reformation of the way we deal with each other, treat each other, how we act as individual sovereign human beings. In the autumn of 1517, a German priest called Martin Luther posted some thoughts on the town notice board. He was angry about a fellow churchman roaming the streets nearby and telling people they could avoid hell by handing over money. Get out of jail free cards, if you will. The Pope at the time wanted a fancy new church in Rome, St. Peter's, and wanted to pay for it by selling plots of land in paradise. With that in mind, he was more than happy to have his salesmen tell those that could afford it that they could do as they liked when it came to sinning, just as long as they were prepared to pay the price in hard cash. Roll up, you sinners, sin all you like. Hand over the coins, and heaven is yours when you're done. Luther was not impressed, to say the least, and believed the only way to heaven was through faith, something money couldn't buy. He asked, why does not the Pope, whose wealth today is greater than the wealth of the richest Crassus, build the Basilica of St. Peter with his own money rather than with the money of poor believers? The Pope got angry and excommunicated Martin Luther. Talk about cancelling. And Luther took the paperwork and burned it in front of a wide-eyed crowd. If the intention was to silence dissent, to censor, well, that went well, didn't it? Luther wouldn't shut up, and so the world was shifted on its axis, and forever. Note to self, never shut up. Technically, that wandering churchman who so annoyed Martin Luther was selling what you call indulgences. There's nothing new under the sun, as we say, and indulgences are on sale again. Carbon tax, for example, payable for burning petrol and what have you, for heating or air conditioning your home, for eating meat, for having the audacity to breathe, will shortly be affordable only for the rich. The rich will buy, in the manner of the indulgences of old, the freedom to burn as much fuel as they want in their private jets and super yachts. They'll live in homes made warm or cool as required with more carbon. They'll eat what they want, go where they want, live as they want. and they'll pay for the privilege in the manner of the indulgences. They will buy their way out of purgatory. They will buy the carbon allowances of the billions of people like you and me that can't afford to do likewise. The billionaires will live as they please, buying their way out of any trouble, just like the rich who thought they could pay their way out of purgatory and straight into heaven in the days of Martin Luther. There's nothing new under the sun. It's always the same and always will be the same until there's a societal reformation. We see it all around us now. The rich do what they like, get richer and get away with it, while the poor pay the price. The poor are given toxic rubbish to eat, while the rich enjoy the profits of the sale. The poor get fat and sick and sad, and the rich get richer selling them potions and pills. Big Pharma got rich on the proceeds of pushing gene therapies in response to COVID-19, and uncounted numbers got sick or died as a result. 3 years later, and the truth starts dribbling out. AstraZeneca have admitted their product can cause blood clotting. And in time, no doubt, the compensation will be paid to their victims, to some of them at least. But who will foot the bill? On account of the terms of the emergency use authorisation under which the product, all such products, were rolled out to the unwitting public, and the indemnity that went with it, any compensation will surely be paid not by the company, but by us. Those that took the jabs and those that didn't. Look to the company and they wave their get out of jail free card. It's always the same. If you're rich, if you've already got the money and the power, then you're in the clear and the little guy is left to carry the can all the way to hell. Everything is free to those that can afford it and ruinously expensive for those that can't. Money talks and nobody walks. When you get right down to it, it's all about the value placed on human life, on every human life. And if you look around you now, you'll see that the powerful value their own lives most highly, while dismissing yours and mine as no more than flickering lights on a computer screen, dots on a spreadsheet. There's 500,000 dead in Ukraine, maybe more. No one with the means to do so cares enough to count. In Gaza, the dead Palestinian men, women and children are piled in their thousands. But the narrative of war has changed in recent weeks. Once upon a time, Ukraine was sold to us in the West as the defence of democracy. Now that ship has sailed, that fakery has failed, and so the puppets, ermined lords among them, are selling tickets to the charnel house as value for money and a good investment. The rich and powerful make no secret now of how they believe they're different from us, better than us, deserving of better lives than us on account of their wealth and connections. In the end game being played now, the objective is nothing less than the immiseration of those not already ruined. Taxes of every sort are hiked. Taxes that never existed before are created and enforced. None of the money collected will be spent as advertised to fix roads, build hospitals, secure the borders, boost innovation and employment. Tax on individuals serves no other function than to take it away from those that earned it and that might use it in pursuit of better lives. When you live in a world in which the powerful seek absolute total power, then the intended destination for the rest of us is feudalism, serfdom, the way things have been for most people like us for most of recorded history. They say power corrupts, but I say rather that the already corrupt are attracted to power. Once in power, it's do as I say and not as I do. Half a millennium ago, the rich and powerful sought to buy their way out of purgatory while continuing to sin all they wanted. Now the rich and powerful assume their wealth entitles them to behave in exactly the same way. Here's the thing, it's not a revolution we need because a revolution only serves those already powerful. What's required is that reformation. Martin Luther, he of the First Reformation, protested that every human being was responsible for him or herself, indeed had to expect to stand before God and give account of him or herself. It was no good looking to the church, to any institution for salvation. It was about taking and accepting personal responsibility. No one's coming to save us, quite the contrary. The only solution, the only salvation lies within each and every one of us. So stay awake. Keep pointing out and calling out the liars. We won't comply our way out of tyranny. Stop swallowing all the crap, and I mean literally. It's simply time to look after ourselves, to take care of ourselves, because there's no cavalry coming. Stand up straight and stand strong. If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that the defiance of every individual does make a difference. The road we take next is not up to them, it's up to us.